Hi, today I'm making this video so I can talk to you about the previously unreleased, now released game Dino Force for the Turbografx PC Engine. Let's check it out. So, Dino Force for the Turbografx is a game that's been well known in the community for a while now that was almost completed but canceled before its release years ago, back when the PC Engine was relevant. I guess I don't know who it got picked up by, but this company called PCEworks recently released it for free over the weekend. I'm not going to get into the talk of, is PCWorks a good company? Should you not get stuff from them? They deal in reproductions, but either way, somehow they got this unreleased, unfinished game and got a number of well-known programmers who could help to fix various bugs and other problems with the game so there could actually be a real release for all of us to play and enjoy. Now, to their benefit, they did release the game for free on their website, PCEworks. I'll leave a link in the description below, so anybody can go there and download the ROM of the game and play it for free on an emulator of your choice, or you could even put it on your Turbo EverDrive and play it on real hardware. Now, Dino Force is a shooter. I put a little bit of time into it before recording this, and it's a bit different than your typical shooter on the system. I'm going to sink a good amount of time into it here, and I'll put some of the gameplay in this video, but when I'm done with the gameplay, I'll get back on and give you my thoughts on if it's a good game, is it worth playing, blah, 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 blah. So enjoy some of the gameplay footage here. Okay, so my thoughts on the game. This shooter is very different compared to other PC Engine Turbografx shooters. To me, it doesn't play like a typical shooter, and it takes a lot of time to get used to the mechanics and things you can do with your ship in this one. It seems to be a pretty difficult game. I've put about 3 hours into it, and the farthest I was able to get to is stage 5. I don't know how many stages there are in the game since there's no released, manual or much information about it. But one of the things that was the most difficult for me to get used to, and it still kind of is how your options around your ship work. Now, if you look at your ship here, there's this ball that can go in front or behind your ship depending on if you're moving forwards or backwards. Now that ball can destroy enemies, which is great. Think about it, it can damage enemies, but what's confusing is it does not block enemy fire, like options do in many other games. Now, if you look at your top and bottom options on your ship there, those can block some enemy fire, but they do not damage enemies unless you're not firing your main weapon. So you have to let go of the fire button to let those top and bottom options damage other enemies. So that's very confusing. So if you're holding down the fire button, top and bottom options won't hurt enemies but block fire, but the ball that can be in front or behind your ship damages enemies but doesn't block enemy fire. So wrapping your head around those opposites is rough as you're playing this. Then you got to get used to letting your finger or thumb off of the fire button so your top and bottom options can attack enemies, because there's lots of parts in this game where you need to destroy enemies from behind or from up above or below, and you got to let go of that fire button a lot to destroy these enemies coming at you. Now, these 3 things might be just because the game wasn't completely finished. Maybe there were things meant to be implemented that never were. But some of your weapon upgrade options for your ship don't seem like they do anything. I've yet to figure out what a couple of them do. The C option is pretty cool. That seems to home in a little bit on enemy ships. B option is a stronger fire, which is cool. I'm trying to remember if it's D. I think that's the one with the big snake-like creature that comes out. I can't remember the letter, but that one works. That one's great. That just, whatever enemy it runs into, it rips them apart real quick. But there's a couple weapons after that, just they don't do anything. And when you select them, I should probably bring up how to select those weapons. To select, to go through your menu selection, you hold down 1 on the controller, and then you hit right or left on your directional pad. But there's a couple other ones you select and just nothing happens. And it just disappears out of your menu selection screen. Then, or I shouldn't say screen, but your menu selection at the bottom. Then there's another weapon power-up where it shows like your ship on the screen, like a duplicate of your ship, and I don't see it doing anything, just nothing happens. Also, possibly a bug, but if you hit the select button while you have one of those other ship options on there to, say, change the speed of your ship, it deletes that weapon out of your weapon bank. So you just can't use it again until you collect it one more time. I have no idea if that's a bug, or if maybe as you get farther in the game you get so many weapons that maybe you want to delete some to get rid of them. So I don't know what's causing that. Third thing is, there seems to be no rhyme or reason as to what weapons you get when in the game, because there's no physical power-ups to pick up. I did maybe note, I don't know if it's score related, or maybe how you're killing certain enemies, because I swear on the first stage, if I make an effort to kill more enemies by letting off the fire button and using the rear of my ship to kill a number of enemies, I end up with that snake power-up sooner. But if I go through the stage using just my main fire from the front of the ship, I'll end up with either the B weapon, that's the stronger, like boxier looking main fire, or I'll end up with C, that helps me zero in on the enemies more, kind of like a homing style shot. So I'm gonna have to play it more. Maybe that's just a weird flaw that was never fixed with the game. Like, I just cannot make a rhyme or reason as to really how you get certain game, ship power-ups when. Before I forget, I need to tell you about a few cheat codes built into the game. I'm going to show you how to do that using my turbo stick. So, I'm going to start up the game here using my EverDrive. And here is a way to get 10 extra lives at the beginning of the game. Simply wait for the title screen to come up. You do not need to hold these buttons down. You just hit them once. Hit the button 2, button 1, and select. And I don't know if you heard that tone, but that indicates the code worked. And then you can hit the run button to start the game, and you'll have 10 extra lives instead of 4. So that should help things out. I don't know if there's a way to continue on any stage after you're dead. That has yet to come out. But here's another code that's kind of cool. If you want to get into a sound test, also wait for the title screen to come up at the beginning of the game. And then you just hold down button 1 and 2 and press the run button. And then you can scroll through and check out other songs from the game. I will type those out in the description down below, so that way you have easy access to that, but hopefully it'll make things a little bit easier to enjoy the game with those 10 extra lives to start. So my final thoughts on this game: it's a very different shooter. Definitely worth your time to play it and give it a go. The music, the quality, just the audio quality in general, is very good on the game, although the majority of the tracks aren't really anything that's going to stick in your head. There isn't much that's all that catchy. I mean, I guess the music fits the game, but there's so many other PC Engine games, especially just, chip or HuCard games, that the music's a lot better than this one. The gameplay is so different. I think it's worth playing just because of that. But if I were to grade it compared to other shooters on the system, I'd rather, if I'm playing a side-scrolling shooter, especially that's a chip game, I'd probably rather play Sinistron or Psychosis or R-Type or Aeroblasters. I'm sure there's others I'm forgetting right now, but I definitely wouldn't put it above any of them. It's still, I'd probably have to grade it as a C+ or a B-, because it's still good enough to come back to and want to play more of. It's just not in that higher echelon of great PC Engine shooters or anything like that. So to conclude, thank you for everybody who worked on this game to make it possible. There are physical versions of the game available from PCE Works, but at 89 euros, that's like $95 US. That's a high price point to swallow, even if this was a licensed release, like, and the company that was selling it didn't have a kind of dubious past that, trying to, being willing to buy it for that kind of price is just kind of ridiculous. Maybe if the game was, if you think about it, FX Unit Yuki, that's a new, game for the Turbografx, new-ish game within the past 3 years or so, that they're selling it brand new for $39.99. And this game being $95, not worth it. But definitely worth going to the site, downloading it, playing it on your EverDrive, playing it on an emulator. Link will be in the description below. Let me know what you guys think about the game after you try it out. It definitely has a big learning curve with the options that I was telling you about, but I believe because of its uniqueness and how it plays, it's definitely worth putting some time into. So have a good one, and I'll see you again in the next video. Did I just forget to mention how cool it is that we get to play an unreleased PC Engine game 35 years after the system came out? How did I forget that? That's the entire premise of the whole video. What am I even doing here? Whatever.